Hello and welcome back to the Frugal Radio 2020 SDR Guide. Today we're going to look at trunk tracking DMR and NextN networks with DSD Plus and a single RTL SDR version 3 dongle.
Mayday American 953, declared an emergency.
More and more agencies are moving to digital networks because they offer a range of benefits to users. In my area, the DMR and NextN trunk systems have now almost completely replaced the analog trunking networks. Both protocols are used in the VHF, UHF and 800 MHz bands. I pick up hospitals and university campuses, sports arenas and stadiums, concert and theatre venues, security teams, malls, utility companies and power stations, courier and hotshot delivery services, oil refineries and other kinds of industrial plants, taxi and limousine fleets, and of course the usual rental radios that different companies use. I also receive several DMR repeaters which are used by rural fire departments, casinos, public works, airlines and more. As with most trunking networks, DMR and NextN both have control channels that direct user radios onto a specific frequency when a talk group becomes active. If you're not sure how control channels work, then I recommend viewing episode 6 of the 2020 SDR Guide for a bit more of an explanation. Digital radio systems make very efficient use of the radio spectrum. Take a traditional narrowband 12.5 kHz analog channel. On that channel you can have one voice path or a single data path. But digital systems enable two voice or data paths on that same 12.5 kHz of spectrum. DMR basically divides the transmit time in two. This is known as time division multiple access, or TDMA for short. The two blocks are known as time slots 1 and 2. When you hold the PTT key on a DMR radio, the transmitter actually pulses on and off every 30 milliseconds. Therefore, the radio only transmits 50% of the time you are speaking. These slots are then reassembled on a receiver, and you cannot tell that the radio was only utilizing 50% of the available space on the frequency. As a result, time slot 2 can then be used at the same time on the same frequency to create another voice or data path. The two time slots effectively create two individual channels on one frequency. NextN, on the other hand, provides two channels on the same 12.5 kHz of bandwidth by dividing the frequency in two. This is known as frequency division multiple access, or FDMA. Each voice path or data path operates in just 6.25 kHz slice of spectrum. In metro areas, this is great news. It means that two digital channels can be compressed into the bandwidth of one analog channel. The software I use to decode DMR and NextN signals is called DSD Plus, and it's available from dsdplus.com. As usual, links can be found in the companion article to this video linked in the description below. DSD Plus is available as a free version or a regularly updated Fastlane version, which costs $10 for 6 months or $25 for lifetime access. It is capable of decoding DMR and trunk tracking various types of DMR networks such as Capacity Plus, Connect Plus and so on. It also decodes both types of NextN networks, the 4800 and 9600 baud systems. DSD Plus makes use of a series of text-based files for keeping track of trunk networks, sites, frequencies and talk groups. You will see me editing those on the fly throughout this episode. However, it's also possible to download DSD formatted data directly from the Radio Reference website if you are a premium subscriber or feed provider. With that said, let's now have a look at DSD Plus in action. Okay, so once you have DSD Plus on your computer, you'll end up with a folder that has all the DSD Plus files in. So on mine, I just have it in Drive C and DSD Plus. And when I look in the DSD Plus folder, there's quite a number of different files. And it's these files that we're going to have a look at. So for doing the decoding, I'm going to be using FMP24. So fmp24.ccbat, if we open that up in an editor, you can see it opened up over here. This is what is going to control the SDR. So it's going to run it in control channel mode. That's what the RC means. The I0 means input 0, so that's the first SDR on the system. Right now I only have one RTL SDR version 3 plugged in, so that should find it right away. It's going to use TCP port 20001. It has a ppm correction of 0 because it's one of the, it's not a generic, so that works well. And then the -F, that's the frequency that it's going to start with, and this is the gain value that it is also going to begin with. So for finding out who is about and on what systems, let's start it on that frequency. So this is a DMR trunked frequency of a university system near me, and so when we start fmp.cc.bat, then it should automatically begin on that frequency. So here you can see it's found the SDR and it's opened up. Here's the FFT window. We can see some activity happening here that the SDR is picking up. So right now it's on that frequency 410.3375 with a gain value of 25.4, which works pretty well on this frequency. So that's just all that's doing right now is showing me what the SDR is picking up. I haven't yet started my decoding, so to do that I'm going to come up here and select 1r.bat, and this is when the magic starts to happen. So looking here, the first thing we see is all this data that is flowing, and this data is just the constant stream of data on the control channel, because that's what I'm parked on right now, is 410.3375, the control channel. Here it's showing me some of the radio IDs and the talk groups that I have previously heard on this channel.
Steve, I'm in a meeting, I'll call you back.
And there you can hear some audio. And that, you can see, was a private call between these two radio IDs. There's also a group call, two group calls that have been happening. So group call on talk group 153 is currently ongoing. Now 110 has come up. And what we do is we just allow the software to build here a picture of the system as it's currently exploring it. So we don't really need these other things on the screen right now. We can just get rid of them. We can move stuff around so that we can see more.
Are you calling 16 or 15?
16. I was wondering if you're near the iHost shop and if you could bring me areas.
So what you can see here, we were picking up data and audio on time slot 4.
I'm in one of the frat houses here, just across from that furnace job we did just last week.
So it's highlighted in green, the one that is active. So we're listening to talk group 110. And that means that the control channel is going to be on time slot 3, channel 3. So you'll see that it has identified that it's a 6 slot system, which means 3 physical frequencies, 2 time slots each. The control channel is therefore number 3. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to adjust the DST plus sites file. Double clicking on that, I have it set to open in Notepad++. So I'm going to add a line in here. It's telling me the line format, the protocol, network ID, a site number, and then give it a name. So that data is down here, and I'm just going to use that to populate this area here. So the protocol is Connect Plus, which is one of the DMR protocols. Put a comma in, I'm going to add a space. So what's it asking for next? The network ID. So the network ID is 185. So I put in 185 and space. Then it's asking for the site number. So the site number is 1. So we put in a 1. And then I can enter site name in brackets. So I'll open some brackets and I'll type in, this is the University of Alberta, so University of Alberta, and I'm going to hit Control S to save that file, and hopefully we will see it get updated over here. So now that I have done that, you'll notice that it has now appeared here, University of Alberta. So anytime I tune into this, I'm going to it's going to populate automatically and let me know that it's the University of Alberta site that I am monitoring. That just helps whenever you're investigating lots of frequencies and sites.
Can you come here and reinforce me?
Okay, so the next thing I've done is I've modified the DSD plus .frequencies file, and you can now see that frequencies are starting to appear here in with the time slots. So what we do, it tells us here what format to use. So again, the protocol, network ID, site number, the OTA channel number, or that might be called LCN if you use to program this in on a scanner, the TX frequency, but it's actually the frequency you're receiving it on. So the RX frequency I'm going to set to 0, and then the sort order, I'm just going to leave that as 0 because the sort order is going to follow the OTA channel number. Okay, so here we have Connect Plus and site 185, or sorry, network 185, network ID 185. I'll get this right one of these days. Site number 1, so that's the data down here. So it's identifying what site that we're listening to. These are the frequencies. So I identified that 410.125 was the first frequency. I identified 3375 was LCNs 3 and 4, and that 5 and 6 was 410.9125, and then of course 0 and 0 for the other frequency. So you'll notice here that the frequency is jumping around as it's actually attempting to trunk track the system, because I've now populated this information. So now it will actually follow the activity. Just with one SDR, it will follow the activity on any given talk group. Now, once I identify the talk group, I can actually tell DSD Plus which talk groups to follow and which to ignore. And I can also set up priority. So let's say I say talk group 100 I want to monitor immediately as soon as anybody transmits it. I can set it to a higher priority, and I can set, say, talk group 181 to a much lower priority if it's less interesting traffic to me. So I'm just on the edge of coverage of this system, so it's not quite coming in strong enough. What I might do is switch the antennas around here and see if we can get a little stronger. Okay, so I've changed over antennas, and the other thing I've done is opened the DSD Plus groups text file, again in Notepad++ here, and here it tells you a little bit about the line format. Now, this file has already started self-populating with the networks that I have received so far since updating my computer and putting this version on, but the line format is similar to before, but this one is going to allow me to set group aliases. It's been modified. Oh, okay, so it's been modified simply because the software is running right now, and perhaps it's better not. It says you can edit this file while DSD Plus is running, so we'll try that. So what I want to know is the site that I'm working on right now. It's site 1 or network 185, so we can see it here. So on Connect Plus, site 185. So Connect Plus, site 185, which is actually network 185. These are the frequency, the talk groups that it has already identified. So which ones? 100, 110, 111, 121. So these are the ones that you're seeing over here. And if I know what those talk groups are, like who the user is, I can then edit in here, and it will then tell me the user over here, as well as the talk group ID. So to do that, I'm going to just hop over to the Radio Reference website and see what is listed for this system on the Radio Reference website. So these are the identified talk groups so far. So what I'm now going to do, I'm just going to park this over here, kind of out of the way a little bit, because that's all the information I need right there. So talk group 100. Talk group 100 is listed as security. So now I can come over here. Let's reload it, yes, and type in security, and then I'm just going to hit Control S each time I save something. So 110 is ancillary services. So I can just put ancillary SVC and save. And 111, do I know what that is? No, I don't. 121, no. 123, no. 126, no. So the 144 is general UT. I wonder what UT is, I'm not sure. So 144, utilities probably. So general utilities. And 151 is electrical maintenance. So I'll just put electricians and save that. 153 is the facilities repair shop, so we'll just put repair shop and save. 162 is the plumbers, so we'll put on plumbing. 168 life safety channel, so life safety. 174 is building and ground services. So, building and grounds. And 181 is the lock shop. Lock shop. So, if I now save that, and we can minimize then all these screens. So, we'll just get rid of you. We'll get rid of this for now. And we will see what happens. So we'll see here that it started listing the ones that that it knows. So that's useful. You can see it's also updating some of them here.
Six three zero. Doesn't look like they've had a 585 actually literally in over a year. Let's get 585 on them, please.
Okay, so here I am starting to map out a new system, or another system that isn't listed in my DSD Plus, but it is listed on radio reference, which you can see up here. So right now it's this site, so it's system ID 305 and site 16, so I can see that matches down here in DSD Plus 305 and 16, and right now I'm just modifying the DSD Plus frequencies file with the site data. So I can see here that site 16, the first frequency is 451.7625. So I'm entering that in here, so 451.7625, and I'm just going to put in the obligatory zeros afterwards. Then I will go down and type in the next frequency of the site. So site 305 and 16, and this is going to be LCN 3. That's because it's a DMR system, so each one of these represents 2 time slots. So although it says 2 here, it's actually number 3 on the DMR system. So 451.3625, so we'll type that in, 451.3625, and we'll put in the zeros, and then we'll do the third frequency. I think it's only a 3 frequency system, so it doesn't take long to enter the data even manually into the DSD Plus files. So this will be LCN5, and it's 451.1. So 451.1.
How you doing?
0.
I'm headed to Baron right now. Thank you.
And what I'm going to do, I like to just keep my files, you know, where they give me some clue as to what's going on. So I just put in a semicolon, which means the computer doesn't read anything after that. And I'm just going to type in here, this is the Westcan wireless DMR site. So we do that, click on Control S to save, and then everything should update itself here. So if we look up here, It has now updated with the frequency, the control channel, and I had added it already to the sites file, so it's telling me down here that it's the Westcan wireless site. Now if we leave that to monitor, what it will do, it will monitor the control channel, but whenever a talk group becomes active, we should see it retune and jump to the frequency. And this is just with a single $30, actually $25 RTL SDR stick.
Oh, and you copy?
Go ahead.
Some of those trucks are the one they hold the snow. It drops a lot of snow here in the 97th Street northbound.
Oh, okay, one of the trucks falling into the snow now.
Now I had previously identified talk group 1250.
Yeah. Ricky or Krista, is one of you guys close to 97th Street, and you guys could go and check it out northbound and see if you guys can clean it up?
So I'm looking for it here, Connect Plus 305 site.
I'm sure if they put the wrong address on, because they do that from time to time. It's just gut instincts, you know.
Well, they're all a little cheap. I identify that before you guys even pick it up. We scour that in the morning.
10-4.
Okay, so I'm entering in the talk group that I'd previously identified. So CarMax is a construction company in the city. So there are two talk groups here that I haven't yet identified. And I've worked out that these are Hotshot Courier companies, 1255 and 1256, but I don't know which Hotshot Courier companies. There are a lot in our city, so what I'll have to do at some stage is drive to one of the addresses and actually see who is making a delivery in order to work out which one that is. So that is a DMR site in action, and I'm using DST Plus with one RTL SDR dongle to monitor the control channel, and then it will jump and it will tune to the receive frequency, and that's how it works.
105. It's okay, Norm. Just stand by there. Never mind.
So here I am monitoring a NextEdge system in the 800 megs band. You can see the frequencies here in the channel activity display, and you'll notice that I actually have most of the channels locked out just for the purposes of this demonstration, and that's enabling us just to see what's going on and monitor the control channel and see which channels are active. I have put in aliases for some of the talk groups, so the ones that I've identified. Actually it says right here what the channel is that's in use, and then other ones like this, 7101, I haven't identified the user yet, so there's nothing in the talk group alias until I work out who the user is. You can choose to lock out groups quite easily. All you need to do is right click on a target talk group and that will lock it out, and then similarly if you left click it will then re-enable that talk group. So the next time talk group 8101 begins a transmission, then we should be able to hear it on the NextEdge system here. Similarly I could do the same with this one, but I think we've reached the end of the transmissions.
Maybe somebody should call OHS on her.
And to lock it out again, all I would do is right click on it next time it appears and it would be locked out again, just like that. So that's an easy way you can control some of what's going on in DST Plus. There are of course other shortcuts, and I suggest reading the documentation for those, and because you can hold on to a specific talk group, you can lock out talk groups, and of course you can change the priority quickly to low, medium or high, and when you get into the file itself, like down here, then you can actually set a priority number. So for example 20 is higher than 50, so if two calls are happening simultaneously it will go to the 20 instead of the 50, and so on. So that's just a little overview of a NextEdge system actually being monitored live. Well, as always, let me thank you for joining with me on the Frugal Radio channel. I hope it's been helpful to see DST Plus in action, decoding a Connect Plus and a NextEdge system. Stay tuned for future episodes. There will always be more coming from Frugal Radio. And if you like what you've seen, you may want to visit the frugalradio.com website, where there's a little more information about each video that gets made. And if you find this video to be helpful, or any of the other videos to be helpful, you could even leave a tip if you so desire. I would ask as well that if you've liked this video, that you please hit the like button, and if you're new to the channel and haven't seen much of this content before but you like what you've seen, why not hit the subscribe and ding the notification bell so that you get notified anytime new content gets released. I look forward to seeing you in future episodes and in future videos. For now, this is Frugal Radio, over and out.